Hello, everyone. Welcome back. 2 painting days in a row. That's right. Um, but today it's something a bit different, obviously. Um, Nothing near automata related at all. We actually have the Sword of Light from Dragon Quest 11, Echoes of an Elusive Age. I don't know how that title applies to the game at all. I have not got through it much. Um, as you can see, I'm using the Smash render as a reference image. And without further ado, here she is. I can almost get the whole thing in shot. Yeah, we got the blade. It's got the runes on it. Flip it over. Got the crossguard. Oh yeah. So, uh, today we're just going to paint it. Or we're going to paint some of it. I don't know how far we will get, but we're just going to get as far as we can today. Um, I kind of want to start with the gold, honestly. I think I will. I think I'll start with the gold because if you know me, you know that I really love gold things on swords. So for the gold today, I'm using some Folk Art brand metallic antique gold. And it's just a little bit of a darker gold than most. But I think that that'll make it just a little bit more on the realistic side and less on the cartoony side, which I want. So I'm just going to grab a nice brush. Get hyped, get hyped. Gonna pour some gold. Ooh, that's a tasty color. And let us begin. Pretty much this entire crossguard is gold. Oh, look at that. Bam. I wonder how many coats this gold is actually going to need. I'm assuming 3, just by the look of this right now. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Yeah, so I used this gold once before, and it wasn't on a sword-related project. And I didn't use like a large amount of it, so I really don't know the physics of this paint, if that makes any sense. Got to get the interior of all these wings. So, like the past 2 or 3 sword projects, well, no, the past two sword projects, I've actually not played a much of the game where they originate. So I've played about an hour of Dragon Quest 11. Not nearly enough time to get this sword, as I've been told. But I just think it's a very cool sword. It reminds me a lot of the Master Sword just because of the shape, the winged crossguard, and just the use of gold and blue, because there's some blue in here on the handle and things like that. It is, yeah. Yeah, it just reminds me a little bit of the Master Sword, but I love the Master Sword, so I am not complaining. The reflection of the gold color isn't really showing up on camera, but I can assure you that this is a very like yellowy gold, like mustardy gold color. And I think that fits this sword perfectly. I have another gold here in my workshop. It's Inca gold. Yeah, it reminds you of the Master Sword too. Yeah, I don't blame you. There's so many similarities with color and shape. The only thing that I think really differentiates it is the shape of the blade. Um, it's very curvy. It curves in and out, and the Master Sword is kind of just straight. It just goes in one direction. There's nothing fancy about the shape of the blade, except maybe towards the bottom, little by the crossguard. There's just a couple of little curves in the Master Sword. And this, the Sword of Light, it actually has similar like curves, like right here. You can see that like it curves in. It like is wide out here and then it's thinner in here. Master Sword does the same thing. But this is way more extravagant. Yet another reason why I started putting metal rods in my swords is because of swords like this. This sword is very unstable, or it would be, I should say, if I didn't have anything in it, like any core. This handle is so thin, like you can see. It's just a really thin handle, and that's part of the design. That would be super fragile if there wasn't an iron rod like running all the way through it. And I knew that going in. I'm like, this needs a thin metal rod going all the way through, because otherwise it's just going to fall apart right away. This might actually be the thinnest handle that I've ever printed for a project, just because I don't know. I think it is. It's so thin. But this model was quite the annoyance when I was trying to glue it together. I don't know if you can really see, but there's these seams here on the blade, and usually seams are flat. Like the face that connects two pieces is just a flat plane that can be glued together. This case, no. It's actually sculpted into the sword itself. And because of this, I had to like drill holes manually through the blade. Pretty annoying there, but both me and my sword are fragile and unstable. No, I can assure you that this sword is stable. This sword is definitely stable. I wouldn't recommend hitting it against anything, but I feel like that goes without saying. It's a plastic sword. If you hit a plastic sword against something, it'll break. It's just how it works. But yeah, this sword is fairly stable. It's definitely not my most stable, but it's stable enough where you could cosplay it, swing it around a little bit, and not be like fearful of snapping it. Ooh. Yeah, got to be a little bit more careful on these crazy detailed parts. That's the thing, like color-wise, this sword is not that complex. There are 5 colors, but there are so many little intricate details around. Oh wait, actually, I'm dumb. This whole part is gold too, so I don't have to be careful right here. Awesome. That makes my life so much easier, actually. I'm going to have to get a smaller brush to get in some of these crevices, though. That will have to happen later. Yeah, the first coat, it's going on pretty good right now. Nothing really too crazy or unexpected going on. Pretty standard. Are my knuckles okay? They do look a little bit red, don't they? Did you punch something? No. I mean, yes. Earlier today, I did a boxing workout, but I had gloves on and stuff. I think it's actually my hands are just really dry. I've had to wash my hands about like 10 times today just because I've been uh, painting Virtuous Contract from last night's stream. I've been trying to finish that up today, get the whole thing done. And I'm pretty close, but I'm still a little ways off. Yeah, that sword is looking really good. Um, but yeah, like when my hands are just so dried out because I've had to wash my hands so many times that they are a little bit red right now. But maybe the boxing workout had something to do with that too, but probably not. My hands are just really dry in the winter usually. Sneak peek, sneak peek. You know what? Okay. Just give me a second. Okay, I had to like take my headphones off so I could go and grab this thing, but I'm like standing up. Shoot, hold on. Don't want to accidentally yank everything off the table with my headphones. So we got the silver blade. Uh-huh. And there's the black details there. I'm just gonna flip it around. Here is the handle. It's looking a lot better now than it did. But it's still not done. I'm going to be finishing that later tonight. Tasty, that looks so good. Thank you. Yeah, this is a big sword, so it's pretty time consuming. All right, I'm gonna go lean this back against the wall, so give me another second. Yeah. So that has been like pretty much my whole day is painting Virtuous Contract. Um, the blade needs like 4 layers, and um, there's other things that need like 3 layers. Um, like the black actually needs 3 layers in some parts, which is a little odd, but it's because I'm painting on white primer. Yeah, but that's been like my whole day. Um, I suppose that hasn't actually been my whole day. I've had to glue some pieces onto my next project. I've had like I've had to use clamps and stuff because of how janky the geometry is. But I did not have to use clamps with this sword at all. I just had to hold it together with my hands for however many minutes. A lot of the times you can't really use clamps when you're gluing these swords together because they have like either complex details in the geometry that hinder the clamp's ability to clamp or they just don't work. Like you can't clamp you can't clamp something hard enough. It'll always just like slide off. Those are like the two things that prevent clamping from happening. But with something like the Master Sword with a really um, simple blade, like it has 2 flat edges, it's really easy to clamp. And that's good. It helps me. So I don't have to like hold it there, muscles tensed for a few minutes for each piece, and then it takes forever. This actually, it looks better on camera than it does in person, this gold. I think that's just because the light is not picking up all of the flaws as much, which there won't be any flaws, or at least not many, once the extra coats are put on. Yeah. I'm just going to start using the cap for this part of the blade here that's also gold. There's this entire thing with the runes. This is all gold. I'm just I'm just waiting for someone to request a fully gold sword. I know I talked about gold swords a little bit yesterday, but I'm really looking for a gold sword that'd be really fun to make. So for these ruins here, or whatever they say, I actually don't know. Um, I just have to rotate the brush so that it's parallel with whatever the symbol shape is, and then just press it straight down. And then once the paint dries, it'll look like it's all gold in there. And that's what we want. We want it to look like it's gold. Or at least metal that's painted to look like gold. Okay. Got a few ruins. The ruins are something that I'm not going to have to do multiple coats for, just because there's so much shadow on them that they look fine with just one coat. Like, you'd have to take a flashlight and shine it into the ruins in order to see that there's only one coat, but even then, you might not even notice. I gotta look at the sword at every, well, not every angle, but most angles, just so you can see if you're missing any obvious gaps in the ruins. Concentrating a little bit here. If I ever like stop talking suddenly, it means that I am currently concentrating on a detail and I forgot that I'm streaming. Yeah, so I'm probably just going to do one side of this sword, one coat, one side of the Sword of Light tonight, and I will be finishing it up hopefully tomorrow. Not on stream. I won't be finishing it on stream, because if I was to like ever paint a full sword on stream, I would just use so much storage space. Ridiculous. With dry times and everything involved. I'm just giving you guys like a highlight reel, you know, like just what I'm doing for each part of the sword, with what colors I'm using and things like that. I'm not going to make you endure the 1 hour dry times between coats and things like that. I need more paint, because there's a whole other part at the top here. I'm gonna slide this way so you guys can see. I'm going to be doing this part up here. It's also gold. Shaking up the gold again, just going to use the cap for this part. I've been using the cap for a bit though, because right now I'm just kind of too lazy to paint, pour more paint. I'm not too lazy to paint, I'm too lazy to pour more paint. Pretty rough, pretty rough. Gold. So there's another piece of this sword that is gold, and it is the pommel. So I'm going to slide this back, all the way back, like here. Just looking at the handle. Oh, yeah, there's actually golden stripes on the handle as well. There's a lot of gold. Oh, he's so handsome. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think he's very handsome. Just going to quickly do a little skim over these areas where the gold stripes sort of diagonally come down. I'm not being too careful here because the rest of this handle is actually going to be a metallic blue, and that blue really covers up stuff. And we got the pommel. The pommel is also very gold. All the same gold. The pommel was actually pretty tricky to like get rid of all of the support material from the print because when I was printing, you know, all of these support material things are in these little gaps, and you need to like get a tweezers and yank them out of there. It's pretty annoying. Oh wait, there's this part here that's gold too. This part. That little ring there is gold. Now, yeah, like I said, I'm not really being too careful with this part because I'm going to have to do some more detail work on this part once I have the coats of the other colors that surround it, and once I am not limited by the camera. Because with the camera, you know, I need to get everything in the shot when I'm streaming, like everything that I'm doing in the shot. But for the following coats, I don't have the limitations of my camera, so I can move this sword all over the place, and like I can put it right up against the light and things like that, so I can see some finer details and things that I've missed. But the first coat, you guys get to see basically in full. I'm actually using the camera. I have the camera view right in front of me, and I can see that I'm missing some stuff on this wall. But if I just like paint and look at the camera, paint and look at the camera, I can see what I've missed. Oh man, hacker man. It's still pretty rough, but that is totally fine. So is there anything that I have obviously missed? Yes, there is, right here. And here, and here. Just gotta hit it with that first coat of gold. Gotta hit all these gold parts. There's that. I think I'm just gonna actually put my paintbrush in this bottle. I'm getting even lazier by the second. But as long as there's paint on the brush, it really doesn't change anything. Okay. So I think that is, oh, wait, nope, one more thing. There's this like ring of gold around here, around where the red gem is going to be. I don't know what the red gem is, or if it actually is anything significant. There is a big ol' red gem in the middle of this sword. It kind of acts as the centerpiece. And I'm going to be using a metallic red for that. Okay, I think that is a decent start on the gold. It's the heart of Yggdrasil. JK, I lied. I don't know. Oh no. Listen, you're the one who plays this game. You're supposed to know. With our knowledge combined, we should be able to like piece together this sword. It's not like when you're forging the sword. Listen, I don't know. Oh, so it really doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you what the red thing is. So it is just a decoration piece. That makes sense, I guess. I mean, they just threw a gem in there. They were haphazardly making this sword, and they just, yeah, we'll throw a gem in there. Okay, next things next is the blade. The blade is another instance of silver sterling. There might actually be info. I haven't finished the game yet. Valid. You should just interrupt whatever stream I'm doing when you finish the game and let me know if there's any significance to the red gem in the middle of the sword. That'd be really nice. Actually, there's two. There's two red gems. There's one right here, and there's one here. You know, the big one. So double the explanation is needed. Okay, moving right along to silver sterling. For the entirety of the blade. I eagerly await the info, honestly. All right. Bam. We're going with the silver. I like this silver. It's really pretty when it's brushed on for the first coat and things. But there's one thing that this paint is really bad for, and it's interacting with water in any way. You can't really weather this color. Like you can't use a wash. You can't use the wash on this silver sterling because it kind of just disintegrates in water. Good thing this is a clean blade, am I right? No, I'd have to use like dry brushing or something if I was to weather this sword, but this sword is very clean, so I don't have to worry about that really. No, yeah, when I was making my version of the Master Sword, it uses this same silver sterling color, and I'd weathered the blade using a wash, a black wash, and the silver paint just like came off. It just like disintegrated. So I basically had to start the entire blade over. And to my knowledge, I mean, with every paint that I've weathered, this is the only paint that does that. It's the only paint that just disintegrates if you try to weather it with a wash, that is. Anything water related, I'm assuming, would just instantly ruin a piece. Yeah, first coat of silver is going to look pretty rough too, but that's honestly fine. I'm going to have to do like 4 coats of this. And that'll be my day tomorrow. You guys don't have to watch me do the same thing 4 times. Actually, 8 times, because there's 2 sides to every sword. Maybe it'll be in the time lapse when I release the YouTube video, me just struggling. But probably not, because I'm not willing to use that much storage space on something so repetitive. Right now on the camera, it does look decent. The silver looks decent, and that's because it kind of looks like a greased silver. But in person, it does not look good. But that's because it's the first coat. Later, this gets better. I think the greased silver look kind of stays around just a little bit, even after multiple coats have been put on, and I think that's okay. I think it gives any sword that uses this paint just a little bit more texture, and texture is always good, except if it's unintended. Silver has taken a while to go around just because there's a lot of little details to work your way around on this sword. With Virtuous Contract yesterday, I was able to just take a huge brush and just like all the way along the blade, and it worked fine. But this one, got to be a little bit more careful. Let me use the cap. The cap trick. It's pretty satisfying to cover up all of the like leftover clay colors and primer colors with something that actually looks good. Because like you can see like primer, clay, primer, clay. Like the clay just makes the primer even whiter. And it's just really nice covering that up with something that's more consistent. And it only gets more consistent with each coat. It's really satisfying. Part of why I like painting and making swords so much. Just the satisfaction of making something look good with paint. For whatever reason, this sword really wants to like fall to one side. So it's clinking around a little bit whenever I let go of it, but that's okay. So there are some things here that I'm going to have to use a smaller brush for right at the end, but that is just fine. I will save that for a little later though. There are some things on the handle that I'm just going to get real quick. There's a couple little squares that are silver. Just gonna hit those real quick. Like that. Bam. Nothing too fancy because it's the first coat. I've said that like 10 times now. I'm going to take a quick detour from the main part of the sword because there's something that I can get pretty easily right now while I let a few things dry. Just going to dry off my brush here. Got my piece of cardboard over there. So, okay, I'm going to be using gunmetal gray again. I feel like I use it every project, but maybe, no, actually for sure. The next project won't use it at all, so that's cool. But I love this paint. So there's a couple little spikes. You can see them, they're right here. Our girl, gunmetal gray. Yes, my girl, gunmetal gray. She's beautiful. And she's going to paint these little spikes right here. I actually went into Super Smash Bros. And I like selected hero and I went into a game and I just paused and I zoomed in on his sword just so I could see what color these spikes were. And I thought for a long time, like before I went into Smash and looked, that they were black or that they were actually like a darker blue, a lot like the other details of the handle and things like that. They're actually not. They're just a really dark gray. So, obviously, the choice that had to be made was made very easily. I just thought, wow, gunmetal gray would be perfect for this. Now, I definitely poured out a little too much gunmetal gray, but with such a small area to work on, that's how it be, unfortunately. So I'm just going to leave that gunmetal gray there to dry up. Next, I think I'm going to do the red gems. The unclassified red gems that we don't know what they do or what they're about. I'm going to use a watercolor brush, and I'm actually using a different brand of metallic. I'm using Deco Art Metallic Red. Festive Red, it's called. And the reason I'm using this is because I went to Michael's and there was no folk art brand red metallic paint anywhere. So that's how it be. This is the top gem up here. I'm just gonna, might actually have to stand up and lean over this real quick just so I can see. Gonna get a really rough circle. Really rough. Bam. Red gem. And now I'm gonna move the sword. I'm just gonna slide it forward so you guys can see this red gem better. We're gonna do this one. Same thing, nothing too fancy. It's okay if I make a few little hiccups around here, because tomorrow all of those mistakes will be covered by the following layers of paint. There. Another red gem. Not the best. But like I said, it won't matter tomorrow. So I think we only have one color left. It's been 47 minutes, so we're doing good time. You're so excited. Good. I'm glad. This is your sword, Rootvern. I hope you like it. So the last thing is the rest of the handle here, and it is I'm going to use Folk Art Metallic Blue Sapphire, and this is the same blue that I used with the Master Sword. Once again, bringing it all the way back around to the Master Sword. You already love it? Oh, good. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, so all the similarities to the Master Sword. I did not think that the color of blue that I use would be one of them. Ooh, got a little bit of funky plastic in there. That's cute. All right, just gonna pour some of this. Not that much, because I want to save as much of this paint as possible. Assuming I'm going to be making the Master Sword in the future. Right along here. Oh, this blue is going to be perfect. There's these little crevices in between the colored details here. Those I think I'm going to fill in with a black marker because it's so thin. I don't think a paintbrush would be really the smartest decision to put in there. But it's not really any specific color, so I think I'm just going to fill it in with black so it gives the rest of the colors more of an outline. But I'm not going to do that until all this paint dries, so you will not see me do that. Just imagine me taking a marker, or like one of those little gel pen things with the super fine tip, and just running it through the grooves here. I think you guys can imagine that, right? You can see it. Nothing too crazy. Oh, dang. There's 3 gems on this sword. Look. There's a third one right here. It's also red. There's 3 mysterious gems in this sword. I'm going to have to go back to red so I can get that, but I'm going to finish up this blue first. What the heck? How did I miss that? That's unfortunate. I just cleaned that brush too, so it's still going to be wet. I could dry it off, I suppose. Dragon Quest 12. Hero eats the mysterious gems and straight up dies. How did he get them out of the sword? He just dismantles the Sword of Light. Hero, what are you doing? I know what I must do. Have you seen that boy's jaw? Yeah, he's really lacking. Okay, is this brush dry enough yet? He ripped it out with the teeth. This is a... See, this is a round gem. It's probably glass-like or glossy. How would you clamp down on this thing? How would you, like, actually wrap your teeth around this gem without it just slipping off? All right, let's get this last gem here. The token third gem. Oh yeah. Bam. Third red gem. No. Oh no. I sure hope not. All right. So, it's 53 minutes. So that is not enough time for any of the paints that I have painted on this sword to actually be dry yet. So I think I am going to end the stream here. Thank you for tuning in, as always. Um, okay, so depending on how things go with the project that I'm working on, not this one, but the next one, I could be painting again tomorrow night at the same time. I could also not. We will see. Um, but yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be finishing this off camera. Um, yeah, yeah, nothing too exciting. So thank you for watching. I will see you guys really soon.